Popular anti-gun arguments tell people to call the police, get restraining orders, and argue that no one needs an AR-15 for self-defense. They also say women who experience domestic violence have no use for a gun. Well, today's defense of gun use proves why all of that is wrong. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This video is brought to you with the help of reality for dispelling the anti-gun myths and my favorite morning beverage, Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee roasts everything fresh to order, partners with some of your favorite channels and gun rights groups, and makes coffee and tea that you can be proud of. To check them out and help support the channel, go to blackoutcoffee.com/libertydoll. Constance Marshall was married to one Mr. Jason Adam Marshall. The couple lived in Mississippi. She had filed for divorce last March. She accused her husband of domestic violence, and the allegations were serious enough that she was granted an emergency restraining order, given full custody of the children, and Mr. Marshall was ordered to undergo a psychiatric evaluation just to get supervised visits with his children. We don't know the full extent of the allegations, but police and court records do confirm two major incidents. The first, in February, Mr. Marshall loaded a gun and threatened to kill his brother-in-law, Christopher Davis, who lived next door. Then, a couple weeks later in March, before the divorce filing, he again loaded a gun and threatened to commit suicide in front of the children. And the children were home for that incident. Police responded and he was transported to a mental health hospital for inpatient care. We also know that police were at the home 3 times for calls of physical violence in the 4 months leading up to the divorce filings. Mrs. Marshall then filed for divorce in March. She was given emergency custody of the kids, and Mr. Marshall consistently threatened to kidnap them and hide them with his parents in Georgia. He was issued temporary supervised visits with his kids in July. The restraining order was issued in October, and Mr. Marshall was then ordered to his evaluation that month to regain visitation. During divorce proceedings, he did accuse his wife of using illicit drugs and making illicit videos, though at this time there is no evidence to back up those claims. In the eyes of the courts, those claims are completely unsubstantiated. So after all of that, Mr. Marshall, who was a firefighter and mayoral candidate in a special election in December and got votes, which I guess shows you something about democracy and the education level of voters. Anyways, he was no longer living with the family, obviously, and was living in a trailer somewhere else, but he showed up armed at the family home around 4 a.m. on December 26th. This was despite active restraining orders and despite being a federally prohibited person. A prime example of people ignoring laws when they are hell-bent on doing harm. Apparently, Davis was at the home and came outside with his AR, telling Marshall that he needed to leave. During the ensuing confrontation, Marshall pulled his own gun and Davis shot, fearing for his safety, his sister's, and the safety of the children. Police report that both men fired their guns during the incident, though it seems at this point that Davis wasn't shot. Mr. Marshall, however, was declared dead at the scene. Officials are currently calling this incident self-defense, though the case is being turned over to a grand jury. Given Mr. Marshall's history, I can't imagine anyone ruling that this was anything but self-defense, but stranger things have happened. The police chief told the local news that Marshall was a good man that was just struggling and made a bad mistake. That is a pretty big bad mistake. Actually, it sounds like a series of bad mistakes, a series of very bad mistakes. I mean, threatening to commit suicide in front of your kids to scar them for life? Yeah, that's pretty effed up. There are no reports or documents at this time to indicate that the restraining order had been lifted, that Marshall was given visitation, or that he even complied with the psych evaluation. So this is another one that, to me, it's unfortunate, but it sounds pretty cut and dry. If nothing else, this story proves that people intent on violence, whether in a mental health crisis or not, do not follow the law. It proves that restraining orders are nothing but pieces of paper, that a gun might save you before the police arrive, and that at least this time, the AR won in the self-defense gunfight. Though I'm sure that the folks over at Moms Demand Action would have preferred that everybody just sit and wait in the corner to see what happened. That is it for this video. You guys know the drill with the algorithm things. Please like, share, and subscribe if you are new here and are interested in Second Amendment related news and more stories of defensive gun uses. Don't forget to leave a comment down below to help boost this video. And as always, thanks for tuning in and happy shooting.